Hello there, it's your old pal Mr. Cook. Let's go ahead and work on a couple of these even, odd, or neither problems. So you guys have to do the odd numbered problems tonight for homework, so I'll do some of the even ones just to kind of work through them. Okay, so we're going to start off with number 2. So number 2, the function is h of x is equal to 3 minus x. So when we're testing to see if it's even, odd, or neither, we just plug negative x in for x and evaluate it. So we check h of negative x, that's equal to 3 minus, and then instead of x, we're going to put a negative x there. And then distribute the negative in there, and we get 3 plus x. Okay, oops, not 3 plus 3, 3 plus x. There we go. Okay, now we're going to compare these two. The original function is 3 minus x. The new one is 3 plus x. So for 3 minus x to be an even function, the function needs to have not changed at all after plugging in negative x. But obviously it did change because the negative x changes to a positive x, so it's not even. Now let's check and see if it's odd. Well, if it was odd, then everything would change signs. But as we see, the 3 does not change to a negative 3, so it's not odd. So this one is going to be neither. All right, let's go to the next one, 4. So for number 4, we have, let's see here, capital F of x is equal to x to the 4th plus 2x squared. So f of x is equal to 4x to the 4th, and then, oh, nope, just x to the 4th, x to the 4th plus 2x squared. There we go. Okay. So we do the same thing. We take the function, we plug in negative x for every x value. So we get negative x to the 4th plus 2 times negative x to the 2nd power. Now, since we're raising this to the 4th, this negative x becomes negative x times negative x times negative x times negative x. And a negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative times a negative a positive, and then positive times a positive is a positive. So this turns it back into x to the 4th. And then we have plus 2, and then let's see what happens with negative x squared. So negative x squared is negative x times negative x, and negative x times negative x, and negative times a negative is a positive, so it's a positive x squared. So since we plugged in negative x, we end up with x to the 4th plus 2x, and we started with x to the 4th plus 2x. Since this hasn't changed at all, since it remains the same, this is an even function. All right, let's move on to the next one, number 6. So with number 6, we've got f of x is equal to 3x to the 5th power plus 4x to the 3rd power. So we plug in negative x for f. F of negative x is equal to 3 times parentheses negative x to the 5th plus 4 times parentheses negative x to the 3rd. All right, so if we have negative x to the 5th, that's the same as saying negative x times negative x times negative x times negative x times negative x. All right, so a negative times a negative is a positive, a negative times a negative is a positive, and then we have a lone negative there. A positive times a positive is a positive, and a positive times a negative gives us a negative. Since there's 5 negatives, anytime that you have an odd number of negatives that are multiplying, it's going to end up being negative. Like when we have this negative x to the 3rd, we're going to get a negative number. So you can just put the negative out front. So this becomes negative of 3x to the 5th. And then we have plus 4, and then negative x to the 3rd. That's going to turn into the negative of x to the 3rd. So the negative goes up front here. So we end up with a negative 4x to the 3rd power. Okay, so this is what we end up with when we take f of negative x. Now let's compare that to the original function over here. Okay, so the 3x to the 5th has changed to a negative 3x to the 5th. The 4x to the 3rd has changed to a negative 4x to the 3rd. So both terms have changed signs. That means that this is an odd function. All right, so that's 3 quick problems, and do maybe a couple more in another video.